Yo, what's up guys? We got Pokeaim here with the Smogon World Cup finals. My team, Team US Northeast, I was about to say Team US East, has made it to finals and they're playing West. So I believe the last time it was East versus West finals was 2012, I want to say. I remember, I think that was the DD Lalio son, where Shake put in some work with that, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this is actually my first game of the tour. During the qualifying rounds, I was on my honeymoon. And during round one, it didn't make sense to start me as I hadn't, prepped before. Basically, I hadn't played as much OU, so I agree with my team deciding not to start me. And during round two semis, I was out camping. So this is my first time playing in this tour. If I actually win this game, I'm undefeated in World Cup finals, or I think actual rounds, because I know qualifiers, people don't count that, but I don't know how that goes. Whatever, either way, I'm playing Blarg. Now, I actually like Blarg. I just realized his name is blarghlfarghl because Blunder corrected me, but I've seen Blunder play a bunch versus him in replays, and he seemed like a pretty competent player. One thing I noticed about him from replays, I'm just giving you a little backstory because this is my thought process while I'm preparing for this game. One thing I noticed about him was the fact that he likes to stay in with his waters, mainly Toxapex. When he uses Pex, he keeps it in on Landos, keeps it in on Cocos and whatnot, because he 100% knows he'll live a move, and that T-Spike could be crucial. So I took that into account while playing the game. And my team process was basically, I had another team. I don't want to reveal too much about it, but it was about Kartana, because Kartana looked good versus him in preview. Mainly, like, Cart was really solid versus him. He loved Mons like Lele. He used Mantine, he used Jirachi, so something like Cart, maybe a banned Cart or knockoff or something, would have been really solid versus him. But while I was using that team in practice, I just couldn't. The team itself relied so much on Kartana. Sorry to talk, by the way. I'll leave the replay down below, those of you who don't care and don't want to hear my explanation. But the team relied so much on Kartana, I was like, yo, let me try the team number 2, which is literally Strong Mons, Volt turned into Mawile, Gren, Zygarde, Heatran, and try and put in some work. So at team preview, I think it's definitely winnable, for sure. Growth checks Gliscor, Greninja checks Gliscor, Tangrowth is beaten by my Tornadus, Scizor checked by Tornadus, soft checked by Tornadus, but hard checked by Heatran, as well as soft check by Gren. I say soft check because if it got enough boosts, it would beat it. And I say soft check by Tornadus because with Spikes and Hurricane, Scizor doesn't want to switch in, especially because they're running Fizz Def now. So Coco, Tangrowth beats. Heatran is a little bit problematic depending on what it is. If it's like Will-O-Wisp or Magma Storm, because I don't really have the best Tran resist. I have Zygarde, but obviously if it gets burnt by Wisp, it's tough. I have Gren, but Gren's taking 50 from Magma Storm. I have my own Heatran, but I'm actually modest Heatran, which influences a lot of my plays, as you guys will see. And then he has his own Greninja. Now, it's really tough. If it's Battle Bond Ninja, easier to deal with. I have priority and whatnot. If it's Protean and he plays it well, that goes for Gunk Shot on turn, I go Tangrowth or anything like that. I'm thinking like if it's Protean Z move, like Low Kick, Gunk Shot, or Life Orb, though apparently my Sun and Moon people, ABR, and them were telling me Life Orb doesn't really exist anymore because it KOs itself. I think it's a little bit tougher. Scarf isn't as bad. Chango checks and I have priority, but looking at the team, I was worried about Coco as a lead. So I'll go into it and I'll keep going with what I go. But I was worried about Coco as a lead, but I was more worried about Tran as a lead, as it would put me in a situation where I felt like I would have to defensively switch, and if he had Will-O-Wisp, he can catch me turn 1. So I let Gren to try and countermeet that. Same thing with Gliscor. He actually ended up leading off of Coco, so I'm Specs Gren. I'm going to switch out, and he makes a switch as well into Scizor, scouting for the Scarf Gunk Shot. So good play on his part, and I basically said my play. Like, I'm switching the Zygarde because I'll take it in HP Ice easily, and chances are he won't go for it because Tangrowth is 100% switching, but I also want to block maybe a Volt switch, although U-turn is also common there. So Zygarde was just my mid-ground play. Now, I get in Zygarde versus Scizor. I have an SD Mawile. which is a big threat. And I also have Tornadus, which hurricanes Scizor. So I'm Glare on Zygarde. I opt to go for it here because I think it's just a smarter play. If I paralyze Scizor, I can potentially Dark Pulse flinch it with Gren if it comes down to it. I can Hurricane it with my Tornadus if it comes down to it. I can outspeed it with my Mawile and go for boosted knockoffs or player-ups and whatnot, or Sucker Punch, because I'm SD for 3 attacks. Sucker Punch to outspeed his Bullet Punch because he's paralyzed. So I definitely take this trade right now and opt to go for the Glare. I'm actually Choice Band, but I do have the Glare. Get the para off on Scizor, which is really nice. Now, I didn't want to go out into Heatran because if he had Superpower, or even if he had U-Turn, I thought Tornadus was a better play. If he U-turned out versus Heatran, he'd get in Gliscor easily, or Greninja. If I go Tornadus and he U-turns out, Tran can come in, yeah, but I can knock it. Or if Coco wants to come out, I have my switch in. So I went Torn. I'm also Rocky Helmet, and if I get that chip on Scizor, that's the difference between Hurricane 2-hit KOing with a Spike and not. He gets fully paralyzed, as Tapu Koko is going to come out. I decided to go for throw off a Hurricane right here, as I do get the confusion. Now this definitely influences my play, similar to I think me versus someone in SPL. Wow, I forgot his name. It starts with a G, if I'm not mistaken. But he had Rain, and I had a Tornadus, or I had a Coco, and basically he confused me with Hurricane, so I doubled instead of Volt switching because I didn't want to risk, you know, a Z move. Though right here he should tell. One, I know he's not bulky Coco. Two, just based on the Hurricane damage, and two, he knows I'm not a special attack invested Torn. So right here I actually opt to, I expect him to want to go for U-turn, if anything, and I want to get the chip, and I go for a knockoff right here, trying to catch either Gliscor, Scizor, Heatran, as he ends up going for Roost. Now with Electric Terrain gone, he actually cannot KO me, so I stay in again as he's going to Volt Switch. I'm Defog, I'm not Assault Vest, that just did nothing, and I go for U-turn to get momentum this turn. Again, Volt Switch wouldn't be able to knock me out, U-turn wouldn't knock me out, Thunder wouldn't knock me out, and I get momentum out of that turn either way. The only set that would have knocked me out right there was a Wild Charge, and it actually turns out he is Wild Charge Coco, as you guys will see. But that Volt Switch also leads me to believe that he has very little special attack investment. I U-turn down the Tran. Now right here, I opt to go for Stealth Rock. I think that in hindsight, my best play was Lava Plume. I don't think you'd ever risk your Heatran right there, and Gliscor made sense as it could take a hit from me at the range it's at. So if I Lava Plume, then potentially got the burn on Gliscor, it was dead. It was dead. But I went for Rocks to try and get some momentum going. And what I'm going to do now is go Tangrowth because I do have the HP Ice as he reveals, goes right for the Earthquake. So he doesn't mess around with me, goes for Earthquake. He has no attack investment, obviously, based on that Earthquake. I calced everything. And right here, I'm going to double out to Heatran, expecting him to want to go, or anticipating him to want to go out into Scizor. Because if he goes Scizor and Stealth Rock are up, I can drop my Z move next turn and knock out Gliscor because I'm modest Corkscrew Crash Heatran. So ends up being Defog, so I know he's Earthquake Defog. I'm assuming Roost as his last one. I don't know what his move is after, and he reveals U-turn right there. So very nice play, gets momentum. Now Heatran comes in. I actually live Magma Storm because I'm Assault Vest, but getting Tangrowth low is really, really, really bad as it's my main pivot to Coco, Gren, and Gliscor, right? It's my main pivot. So at that point, I don't want to get it low because he got damage off on me already. Had he not gotten that damage, I mean, I can get pretty much all my HP back with regen. So I go out to Zygarde as he goes for Magma Storm, misses unfortunately for him, and I'm able to throw off 1,000 arrows, a banded 1,000 arrows. I actually apologize to him because I mean I got the paras and all that crap, and he missed. I was a little bit sad that he missed because it would have given me some information whether he was max special attack or not, because he could be a max HP leftovers variant, he could be a max special attack variant with Magma Storm. So kind of sucks that he missed for both him and me, but definitely, you know, better for me. Anyway, throw off 1,000 arrows as he brings out Gliscor. At this point, if I'm faster than him, I can crit him. So and he's gonna go for Roost anyway. So I lose nothing by throwing off another 1,000 arrows. And if he's faster than me, I found out information that he doesn't have as much special defense as I thought. Turns out I'm faster than him, so he's definitely somewhere in between Zygarde and Heatran. He's probably faster than Heatran for sure. This is his Heatran switching, and I get to find out that information. That's really crucial. So I get in Torn right now, and what I can do is throw off Hurricanes. I opted to not U-turn as I didn't want him to get the momentum, but he brings out Coco. I'm going to bring out Tangrowth right now as he reveals Wild Charge. Now this is really important because now I know he's Z, Gigavolt Havoc, maybe for like Magearna or whatnot. Pex, if people want to, because people do keep Impex on top of Coco a lot. He's one of them. So Z Wild Charge, awesome. Volt Switch, Roost, and HPI is probably last move. So I got a lot of information right there. And I know he's Z because I tried to knock him and, you know, no item was gone. So I get in Tangrowth right now. Gives me the opportunity to go for a double out to Zygarde, anticipating him to want to bring out Heatran. I thought that would be a decent play. Also, the fact that Gliscor is at a percentage that can be 2-hit KO by Zygarde, I thought it was smart. So I clicked Bandit 1,000 Arrows because he's paralyzed as well, and he reveals the knockoff. I thought maybe it was SD U-turn. So in hindsight, maybe not the worst play, but to be fair, he has that Gliscor that can take a hit, a Gren that outspeeds me, Coco which threatens me with HP Ice, and a Tangrowth that's an automatic switch. And I don't mind trading my Choice Band for the free glares and stuff like that. So aside to bring out Heatran right here, as it gives me some momentum if he wants to roost. I can get up rocks, I can go for my Z. Now, because Gliscor was at not 100%, and I'm modest Z, Z Inferno Overdrive or Z Flash Cannon, so Corkscrew Crash, does knock out Gliscor. I decide to throw it off right here, as I anticipated Gliscor to come in. He makes a very, very, very solid, oh no, it wasn't here, my bad, that was later. He makes a really good play later. Anyway, brings that Gliscor. I realized I didn't chip away at Gliscor, my bad, I'm thinking about it a little bit later in the game. So, hype that up for a second, but get up my rocks, he's going to go out into his Gliscor and Defog, and I'm going to go Tornadus because I want the chip with U-turn. Now this chip is really crucial, this is what I'm talking about. That puts him in range of my Z Flash Cannon, so that Rocky Helmet might look like just a dumb turn to you. This puts him in range of Z Flash Cannon, so brings the top of Coco. Again, I'm pretty much on the defensive side, I have to go Tangrowth right now, not going to stand as he goes for HP Ice, anticipating me to, or trying to catch my Zygarde upon switching, which is pretty cool. Seeing as how he's running very little special attack investment, I don't think he can actually OHKO my Zygarde as well at the HP of that, so I understand him going for an HP Ice right there because it would 2-hit KO it. But getting Tangrowth, he's going to Volt Switch right now. And I throw off an Earthquake trying to catch Heatran upon switch, and he goes Scizor. So I get a Heatran. This is what I'm talking about earlier, right? Gliscor's at 84%. It is in range of my Z. And if I click Corkscrew Crash, it also does like 90% to Greninja, which easily puts it in range of any of my priority, Water Shuriken, Extreme Speed, Sucker Punch. Now, he makes a very, very good mid-ground play, and honestly, in hindsight, I should have called it because it makes sense. I'm pretty sure he knows I'm Z-Tran, or at least he's going to scout for Z-Tran, and he goes out to his own Heat and my Corkscrew Crash, and this is really, 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 really bad for me, I'm not going to lie. Had I gotten Gliscor, it would have been beautiful because when I got my hazards up, they would have been there forever. And had I called Heatran, it would have been even better for me. As getting Heatran right there would have just opened up that door for Torn to always U-turn versus something, or always get a knockoff, or always click Hurricane. Torn is a big threat to him. He has like one way to OHKO it, which is Tapu Koko. So I get the Corkscrew Crash off on the Heatran. And like I said, my fault completely. Very, very solid play on his part. It made a lot of sense in hindsight, and now that I think about it, it makes a ton of sense. 84% Gliscor can die to Z. And Inferno Overdrive was probably my best play right there, or Corkscrew Crash. So very good play. I'm not going to take away at all from it. He made the right play, and in hindsight, I didn't make the right play. As you can see, I do nothing. But I do find out he's leftovers on Tran. Also find out based on that Corkscrew Crash how much investment he has. So because I'm modest, I don't want to stay in, especially because he's Timid Tran. He's more than likely Timid Tran just based on the Magma Storms as well. As he doubles out to Gliscor, very solid play as well. Covers his Zygarde, gets him the recovery he needs. So really, really bad for me because that Heatran was needed to nuke him. Again, I felt really pressured because I'm Modest Tran, and if he was Timid Tran, it's bad for me. And Gliscor obviously walled, so I felt pretty pressured that turn. But I think I could have taken it slower. And I think if I thought about it just a little bit more, Earth Power. Again, in hindsight, you can say Earth Power is the best play, but during the time, it's during a tournament, and I'm playing it. I didn't live record, by the way, because Blender asked me to try it with post-comp and just try playing it with your mind in the game. So I was like, okay, man, it's first tour back OU, might as well try it. So that didn't work out for me, and again, incredible play on his part. Great play, best play on his part, basically best possible play. There was no way I was Earth Power in there, though in hindsight I probably should have. So getting my Zygarde, he doubles out to Gliscor. I'm going to always go Torn as well because the best thing he can do is U-turn, and he goes Tangrowth right there. Not entirely sure why. I think he anticipated me to go maybe my own Gliscor or Tangrowth, and he wants to try and knock me, but it's way too tempting to go for knock right there, especially because it opens up that door for my own Greninja. So I go for knock. He brings out Coco, Volt Switch out. Gonna get in my Heatran right now as he goes for knockoff. Doesn't matter too much, as I'm going to double out to Greninja, anticipating him to want to go Gliscor, and this lets him get a little bit of initiative. There was no way he would stay in. Lava Plume would obviously knock him out, or Fire Move would knock him out, and I want some initiative, and I want to try and spike him. Now, the problem with Greninja spiking is, because I'm Specs, if he wants to go back into Gliscor on a turn, he anticipates me to be Specs, because I haven't thrown off an attack yet, he can defog on me, but I got this spike because Tangrowth is literally the best play that he can make, or Greninja. He opts to go Greninja. Now, this is cool because it would cover Ice Beam, it covers Hydro Pump and whatnot. Though I wouldn't mind damage on Greninja because it opens up the door for Mawile. This is bad for me. If it's Protean, I don't know what my best play is. If it's Ash, it's Tangrowth. Now, because Tangrowth is actually going to be at 100% due to regen, I decided to scout with Tangrowth what set it is. He goes for U-turn. Based on that, a lot of attack investment. It's Scarf Ninja, most likely. So he gets in here. And now right here, Magma Storm can miss, and Earthquake has a 100% chance to knock him out at that point. But I couldn't risk. Tangrowth is way too important, at least not at this HP. If I'm a little bit healthier, I'll risk it because Heatran is a threat and it comes in on Bird, and after that I can just spam U-turn and my Mawile can click Play Rough and whatnot. I'm not worried about Paralyzed Scizor. So I've thought about this turn a little bit, wanted to go for Earthquake, decided no, I go Zygarde. And we find out right here that he is max special attack for sure. I had a suspicion just based on the Corkscrew Crash damage because of how much HP investment he had. And so right here, he is max. Either max or I calced this completely wrong. But I thought 23% was the max he could get from 0 special attack. But he did 25 right there. So getting Zygarde, I can't double because of Magma Storm. So I'm going to throw off 1,000 arrows. Just my best play. As I get to weaken the Gliscor, and I decided to go Ninja right here as I anticipate him to defog since I have my Spike up. Now, again, this is a little bit of repetition right now. I'm trying to condition him to stay in at certain points. And as you see, I actually get conditioned to stay in too. So go Torn as he goes Tangrowth. Decides not to knock, interestingly enough, as I had a Rocky Helmet, but opts to go out into his Koko. Now, what I believe he anticipated here was, or he's either not Earthquake on his Tangrowth, so he has knock, and he wants to try and get my my Heatran with the Z Wild Charge, or he definitely expected me to go Tornadus and wanted some momentum so he could basically he'd be able to go Gliscor on my Tangrowth and defog. So I'm forced to go Tangrowth once again. I see Roost, which makes sense as well because if I Hurricane next turn and he came in and I confused him, I have a chance to knock him out. But gonna go for the Earthquake right now. Or I go for knockoff, excuse me. Trying to catch Heatran, trying to catch Tangrowth if he wants to go that. As he goes for another knockoff, he lets his Scizor be low, which is super important for later, as you guys will see. And I throw off an Earth Power. As you can see, I'm not playing the Heatran the best of my abilities. Now right here, hindsight, I figured he'd defog, but I also thought, okay, if I get in Tangrowth right now, HP Ice threatens him, and Scizor is, if Scizor gets full parry, I can get in Heatran again. Thought process is a little bit all over the place with this, but I Earth Powered here. I didn't even go for a fire move. I went for Earth Power right here because I thought if he wanted to U-turn to gain some initiative, especially because the game had been really bland the way it was going, I felt like the game was really, you know, I switch Tangrowth, you go Koko, I go Tangrowth, I go Torn, you go Koko, I U-turn, I get in Gren, I go for Spike, etc. So I was like, maybe he'll make a more aggressive play and U-turn out, trying to get something like Tran in that, and Earth Power would have gotten the damage I needed on Gren. It would have knocked out Heatran, it would have knocked out Koko. So in hindsight, bad play on my part, but at the same time, I felt like Heatran was really pressured this game because I'm modest. So he goes right for Earthquake. However, it does give me a Spike, or keeps me a Spike. So I can get in my Greninja, I can freely click Dark Pulse. There's no way he stays in. Tangrowth is his best play. Confirm Assault Vest right there. Gonna bring in Torn as he doubles out to Koko. This is a good play. It deal with me going for the flinches right there, as well as me going for another Dark Pulse. So gets in Koko. I'm always forced to go Tangrowth. I'm not gonna not go Growth. And he opts to go Scizor, which gets it a Roost. Now, right here, I decided to go Mawile because I have Intimidate, and if Scizor gets full paralyzed, I can get an SD. +2, Mawile knocks out Heatran at the percentage it's at with Sucker Punch. It does like 80 something. I force Grenin, which I'm pretty sure is Scarf, so it actually can't even touch Mawile. I force Koko to Roost, or go for the Z Wild Charge, which I wanted to break, and I'll knock out a Gliscor with +2 knockoff, and I'll live in Earthquake. So I get in Mawile right here. Get off the Intimidate. I decided to go for knockoff because I don't think it makes sense for him to allow me to SD up, and he might go something like Tran initially. But he decides to Bullet Punch, and I was a little bit confused by this because if I was the Elemental Mawile with Fire Fang, Scizor would go down. But I think his thought process was, okay, if he is Elemental Mawile and he throws off an Ice Punch and I go Gliscor, it's dead. If he goes maybe for Focus Punch, it knocks out Tran, or maybe he just wants to get in on the knockoff. So he does find out I'm knockoff. Still, weakening Scizor is really important, and I go for a double knockoff, anticipating Tran to want to come out. or anything like that. Now, the thing is, I knock out Gliscor right now with the Play Rough 100%. Not 100%. If it lands, I knock him out. And Earthquake never KOs me, but I can't afford Mawile to get hit because Mawile is my way of winning this game, especially with Tran going down. It looks bad for me because of Mon I lost, which is really good because it pressures him, though this Gliscor is annoying. Again, going back to turn 7, should have Lava Plumed instead of Rocks, for sure. I was debating also Zing, but the max I could do to what I'm assuming his spread was 101%. It's a spread between Zygarde and Heatran. So, had I got some ridiculous roll, I would have got rid of Gliscor, and it probably would have been an easy game because I just spike stack him and then win the game with Heatran or win the game with Gren, etc., etc. But I'm not gonna risk my Mawile right there, especially when it's important. And I can get in Tangrowth. He's forced to either defog. I can reveal the HP Ice. Goes for Roost as I HP Ice right now, and he's gonna defog as I'm hitting with an HP Ice. And this was really important. He decided not to go for Roost. I went for Giga Drain because obviously if he lost his Flying type, it'd be super effective. It'd give me recovery and whatnot, and it'd do good damage. So Gliscor at 35%, really key, and you guys will see in a bit how that influences some plays. As he's gonna bring in his Scizor. Now I would regen again, get back to 100, and at this point it's a little bit tough for me, but Tornadus is still my best play. As he finally goes for knockoff, even better for me because Scizor is even lower. Hurricane into Confusion will knock him out. And I actually go for U-turn and not wanting him to... Basically, I'm in the back now. I got to keep up momentum, but Scizor being so low, I want to keep it that way. I don't think he'd risk Scizor right there at least versus Hurricanes, and he's parried. So I U-turn right now. I get in my Tangrowth, and I make a really, really bold read that I think... No, it wasn't here. Sorry, I go for Earthquake and trying to catch Heatran and doing damage to that. But go Scizor as I go Tornadus. This is still really interesting considering Hurricane is still very much a threat. But I think he anticipated me to knock him off. And obviously if I knock them off, Ash Gren could put in work. So I'm able to Hurricane the Coco in here now. And as he goes out to Heatran, and I go Tangrowth. Now right here, I'm at 100%. So I won't let a Magma Storm. The roll to knock him out if he's no HP is like 84 to 100 with Earthquake, which I'm pretty confident that he wasn't that much HP just based on what I was doing. Maybe I calculated wrong, but at this point Magma Storm also has to connect and it can't knock me out. It does like 60 something and then, you know, the turn of Magma Storm damage after, which doesn't even take into account if I knock out Heatran. So I decided to throw off an Earthquake right here as he goes back on Tangrowth, and I thought it was my best play. And I can easily get in Tornadus one more time. It's a little bit rinse repeat, but he already knocked off my item, doesn't matter. Heatran comes out. I throw off a knockoff. I throw off a U-turn here, excuse me, trying to get in Zygarde. And this is also pretty important because the fact that he didn't Roost with Gliscor, it's at 35%. I 2-hit KO it, and I outspeed it. So I get in Zygarde. Glare also smacks Scizor as well. Could have glared the Tangrowth, but I didn't think it mattered as much. Maybe for Dark Pulse flinches later. But I get in Torn as he goes for HP Ice. And at this point, I actually go for the knockoff as opposed to Hurricane. Because I think if I U-turn and I got the momentum on Coco, or even if I Hurricane and I got the confusion, he would lose his Coco. So I get the call right on Heatran. Great. No longer gets recovery. Always in range of Earthquake. Always in range of +2 Mawile. Always in range of Gren. 2-hit KO by Gren. So I can U-turn right now. Now, because I don't want Zygarde going down, since I think it pressures him and Extreme Speed might be useful for Coco, and also getting it in versus Heatran gives me a potential glare. I can't bring it in now because Magma Storm will knock me out with the extra damage. Why is my computer doing that? I get in Gren right now as he goes for that Magma Storm. And right here I throw off a Hydro Pump. I'm not going to bother Dark Pulsing, especially because I'm trapped in. I'm not going to go for Spike and look dumb like I did with the Heatran and lose it. I'd rather Hydro Pump and see how he does. He gives me damage on Gren, super important for Mawile's SD. Super, super important for Mawile's SD Sucker Punch. Or even just a regular Sucker Punch with Spike Up. So, Tornadus is my best play. U-turn doesn't matter. Ice Beam will not knock me out. And I can pivot around and then get my regen anyway. So I go Torn. Torn also limits the Gliscor switching, limits the Heatran switching as much because I get U-turn momentum on that as well. Though Heatran would have been a little bit annoying. And I get in Tangrowth. Now, here's where I decide to be, I go with my gut. Scizor can easily come in on me, easily Roost, takes 2 Earthquakes. If I get 2 Paras in a row, then I'll beat Scizor down. Heatran's definitely not coming in. I think he expects me to knock right here. I don't know, something in my gut was like, HP Ice, dude, he's going Gliscor. You don't want an Earthquake and him get the recovery with Gliscor. So I throw off an HP Ice, and he goes Volt Switch route to Gliscor. Gliscor gone. Finally, this annoying threat is gone. I think that was a throw on his part. I think that Scizor was still the best play. But or even his own Tangrowth to scout and then pivot into Gliscor to get the Poisoning recovery. But either way, I get rid of Gliscor, opens up the door for me. Beautiful. No longer will you be able to defog. Scizor comes out. This gives me Torn. Now, I go Torn because he's paralyzed. Hurricane, Confusion chance. If I land, good. I'm going for the Hurricane right now as he's paralyzed. He opts to stay in as opposed to going Koko to go for SD. Really perplexed by this because first off, he's paralyzed. Secondly, if a Hurricane can confuse him. And thirdly, +2 Bullet Punch does not knock out Torn, max HP. So I throw off another Hurricane right now. I knew that at worst he could get full paras and I could breed him with Gren, but I think he was getting a little bit impatient right here. And I ended up getting the Confusion as he tried to roost right there, and he hits himself and gone. Again, I got lucky right there, but I do think that him trying to SD up on Torn was really impatient. I think what he should have done was gotten up rocks and tried roosted, obviously, and then went from there. He roosted after. I think he should have roosted first. Or even not even SD, just went Koko. But Scizor gone, annoying threat. You know what that means? No more Tangrowth switchings. You know what else that means? Mawile is looking nasty as well, as it was always. So, beautiful. Now it's just about me keeping myself in a good position. So I go Tangrowth right here as he goes for Volt Switch. I know I live Heatran's Magma Storm for sure, and Earthquake knocks him out. So I'm not going to risk my Tangrowth when it literally walls Koko and it walls Gren, and it can knock off his own Tangrowth for my Gren itself. So I U-turn right here, go out to Zygarde. At this point, Zygarde did his job, I feel. If he Magma Storms, I'll go down, like I said, but that gives me Gren. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because if I go for a Spike here, I can win the game late game with Dark Pulses easily. I can win the game late game with Dark Pulses easily. I feel like I spiked way too many times versus Tran as well. I only pumped once on the Gren switching. Gren being weakened is really bad too. So I think that because he threw away his Scizor, he felt the pressure from me. And I was talking with Blender and CUB as well, like what they would have done here, and they said they definitely would have spiked for sure here. And I think blarghlfarghl expected me to do that, and I was like, nah, I'm throwing off a Hydro Pump because I think you're staying and it was just, again, a gut play, and I end up getting Battle Bond Gren, which is so good because I'm going to 2-hit KO everything and I outspeed Koko. He goes out to Scarf Ninja. I know for a fact that Torn can take one hit, even if Ice Beam is his best play, and at this point, it's me about not throwing away my win. So I go Torn, he Ice Beams, and unfortunately crits me. Kind of sucks because I could have easily knocked the Tangrowth, or even U-turn versus this, and literally just spam knock with Tangrowth, but crits me. But that means I get to claim one with my Mawile. I just click play rough, it 2-hit KOs everything. It's Assault Vest, Tangrowth, easy 2-hit KO, 61%. He expected me to knock off right here, not wanting to risk the inaccurate move, but his only opening was getting in Koko on my knockoff and then trying to win with Koko from there, which still been hard. Freezing me with Greninja would have had to come into play. I just went for double play rough, and I'm able to land it, knock out the Koko as well, and at that point, it's just a W with Tangrowth. So I definitely think that I did not play perfectly. I think I should have taken more into account the turn I Z'd because what HP Gliscor was at, and he just made a really good read right there. And besides that, I also think that while I did get lucky with Hurricanes versus Scizor, I should not have been in that position. I think that he threw Scizor away. I was still going for the Mawile win. The Gliscor play was also pretty questionable on his part, but again, I went with my gut. I go for, that's part of the reason why, I wasn't live recording or anything. I was like, what would I do here? I'd be nasty and go hard Gliscor if I was playing Blunder or something. That's what I was thinking. So at the end of the day, I managed to win this one. Wasn't pretty, wasn't perfect. My opponent definitely didn't play perfectly, as he kind of like, I felt like me switching a lot, me spiking kind of conditioned him to a certain way, and he felt comfy doing something or felt pressure to do that. Because when he lost Gliscor, when he really lost Heatran, like, when he really lost, Scizor, it was really bad for him. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this one. I spike, and in the long game, I'll win the game with literally Mawile just clicking buttons, or Tangrowth having 0 switch-ins. The second I knock his own Tangrowth, which is his only switch into Tangrowth, like I could always click Earthquake with mine if Spike is up. The second I knock his growth, I'll beat it, and he can't even beat me if I get knocked on Tangrowth because he's Wild Charge Koko. He's not special, and his own Tangrowth doesn't matter at all, and I got Mawile in. But I'm glad I was able to win for US East, or Northeast rather. And again, been a minute. Like I said, it wasn't pretty, a little bit rusty in playing OU. I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised they started me in the finals, but at least I picked up my W. So hope you guys all enjoyed. Again, I know I did not play perfectly at all, and I don't know. It's always weird playing on the quote-unquote big screen in tournaments, but I had fun and I was able to pull out the victory. So again, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Blargo, good game. blarghlfarghl, good game. I know he's a viewer as well. I've seen Blender playing a lot. I think I played him once or twice before, at least in maybe random battles or something, or even just something. But now I'm just rambling at this point. At this point in time, it is currently 2-3. West leads versus us. We were 1-3 right before this, so we have another game later tonight. It's my boy Brofist, and yeah, hopefully we can get the W. So I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.